Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, I am not GMAC. I am Sean with the W. I'm filling in for GMAC because he deserves an off day. So we said, take your time, chill. It's Friday night. Go out with your lady, chill, have a drink or two or seven. And don't worry, we'll hold it down. And that's what we're doing. So again, I'm Sean for W. I'm joined today by my man Mensa. Mensa, welcome. How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. Ready to watch the Knicks win 2 in a row.
Three in a row.
3. Oh wow, that's how. I've been working really hard this week, so I really haven't been able to keep up. But
No,
yeah, let's go Knicks. We did beat the Cavs. Wow, that felt like
we beat the Cavs. We beat the Hawks. I would say it's revenge week, but the Hornets we really don't care about. But so we're here to pregame. We're here to preview the Hornets game. Sorry, we're running a little late. Things happen. But before we get into the Hornets game, we'll discuss the last game, a thorough ass whipping of the Atlanta Hawks. And listen, I don't care if you're a team tank or team not tank or team mid or team whatever. It's always nice to beat the Atlanta Hawks. So Mensa, your thoughts on the game? And let's exclude the brouhaha that was caused on Twitter by Jonathan Macri making a joke that clearly some people took way too seriously. But that's another story for another day. But your thoughts on Wednesday's game?
Anytime you can beat Trae Young and the Atlanta Hawks, you take it. There's certain matches that as a Knicks fan, my spirit can't take it if we don't beat them. Like if we lose to Boston, it hurts a little more. If we lose to Brooklyn, I don't really care. If we lose to Atlanta, it hurts a little bit more, So just to beat Atlanta and the way we beat Atlanta, with the way Deuce McBride and Quentin Grimes really played great defense and led the charge. It was really good to see. I don't care that RJ Barrett didn't have the game that everybody wants RJ Barrett to have. He's taking, I don't mean to make the bar so low, but if he has more points than shot attempts, I'm okay with that at this point. That's progress considering where he was, and I'm not saying that's acceptable, but I'm happy with what happens if RJ Barrett is not killing our offense and we're getting better at defense. The Julius Randle game, he's pumping up that stock value, man. I really hope that the front office is learning from Bill Belichick. It's better to sell a year early than a year late because we're already like 2 years late on this Julius Randle trade. So I'm hoping that, this is really just all for trade value sake. It's great to see him play well, but personally, emotionally, I don't trust him to be of value. If this is the Julius Randle we're going to get going forward, you don't trade him. And then we have to have the conversation about who do you actually trade, which will hurt for me because of who I'm in the corner of. But long story short, it was a great game. It was fun to watch. And I love when we can beat Atlanta in 3 quarters.
Absolutely. And excuse me. And you touched on Julius Randle's performance. 34 points, 17 rebounds, 5 assists, 10 of 19 from the field, 6 of 12 from 3, no turnovers. And apparently this is the first game in NBA history where a player had 30, 15, 5 assists, 5 made threes, and no turnovers. Although I think they've only been counting turnovers since the 70s. Excuse me. But someone on the post game said, and I've been trying to find it, and because I want to give them a shout out. They said, it's time to sell on Julius before the clock strikes midnight. And that comment stuck with me more than any others because can he sustain this? I mean, yes, we saw him sustain the all NBA level season for a year, but if you want to talk about empty gyms and COVID and whatever, but I will give the front office credit. They have rehabbed his trade value. Now, as I have said on this pregame show and in Twitter Spaces and to anyone who will listen, this team, every time they have a chance to trade Julius Randle, they don't. When they first got here and his value was low, it was like, we'll make it higher. Then it went sky high, and they were like, No, we got found money. Let's keep him. And then it went to the depths of hell. And it was like, well, let's rehab his trade value. But guess what? They rehabbed his trade value. So to a point where we're hearing rumblings, we're hearing, breadcrumbs being dropped off Phoenix, Miami. Now, I don't think Pat Riley would have to be desperate as all hell to trade with us. But the fact that now we're hearing these things is a good sign. So that's all for the Hawks game. Oh, and last but not least, again, to Mr. Trae Young. If you're going to stitch the King of Broadway on your shoes, you gotta do better than that. I'm just saying. But I don't know any other player that gets to own a city for winning 4 games in the COVID season. But I digress. All right, let's move on to tonight's matchup against the Hornets of Charlotte. So even though GMAC is not here today, he was very kind. He was very kind enough to do the top 5 and bottom 5. And if we go to him right here, you can see that Charlotte is terrible. They are top 5. Now, what they are top 5 in offensive rebounds per game, that is interesting because that is something that we have had trouble with. But let's look at bottom 5. They're last in offensive rating, last in effective field goal percentage, true shooting, 26 in net rating. They are bottom 5 in 3-pointers made, 3-point percentage, points per game, field goals, free throws made, and free throws. So not a surprise that they are 7-18, 13th in the Eastern Conference. Their leading scorer is Kelly Oubre Jr. at 20.4 points per game. I just had the rest of this here. Where is it? So their leading scorers are Terry Rozier at 21.7, Kelly Oubre Jr., who's probably been their best player to this point at 20.4, and LaMelo Ball 19.3, but he's only played 3 games this year. Needless to say, this team stinks. So Mensa, I'll start with you because it's literally just us two. I'm assuming you're thinking this is going to be a win by what you said in pregame, by what you said in the intro. What do you think this should be an easy win? Now, remember the last time we played them, as I pull that up over here, they took us to overtime because we thought we were going to destroy them, and we won by 3. In which basically that was the first of the this is the games we would not have won this game without Jalen Brunson games. So this time around, now this isn't Charlotte. Do we see a comfortable win? Do you see a squeaker? Do you see a laugher? Is there a percentage chance we lose? What are your thoughts on the game?
With the Knicks, if the other team has the better player, I'm worried. The Hornets don't have the better player, and if the other team is like comparable in record, then you can be a little worried. The Hawks are not comparable in record. The Knicks, this is a team that, let's give Tom Thibodeau credit. He beats the teams that he needs to beat. When he loses in embarrassing fashion. Like losing to OKC at home was embarrassing, but SGA was the best player on the court, and he's the best player on either team this season. I'm not worried about Terry Rozier going off, especially with Quentin Grimes. I'm not worried about what's the other guy? Kelly Oubre, he's a wing, and our wing defense with RJ Barrett hasn't been its best. But also, and this is one thing that I love about being a New York Knicks fan, even though the Charlotte Hornets are at home, they are not at home tonight. The Knicks, any game on the up and down the East Coast, in Miami, Knicks fans turn out. In DC, Knicks fans turn out. In Charlotte, I know so many New Yorkers that moved to North Carolina. Knicks fans are showing out. I am not worried about this game at all. I think the Knicks will win in convincing fashion tonight.
Shout out to CT Pittman, who I believe lives in the Charlotte area. But you're right. Charlotte, Atlanta, Orlando, Miami, Philly, DC.
Only Boston is the one like Boston and Toronto, because nobody's going to Canada. Those are the only teams that Knicks fans don't really show up on along the Atlantic coastline. So I'm not worried about it at all.
Absolutely. Good point that you brought up with Kelly Oubre. as a scoring wing. That's something we've had trouble with. You know, if only we had someone at the wing that could possibly guard him. But I don't know. Oh, wait a minute. We have this guy named Cam Reddish. He's a wing. He seems to
Cam Reddish or Tracy McGrady
or Paul George. So with Obi being out for 2 to 3 weeks minimum, but I'm not holding my breath. I don't think we're not going to see him until I set the over under at like Valentine's Day. So for now for now Tibbs he went to a 9-man rotation. Now we've lost Obi. So now the questions have been swirling. Will he go to an 8-man rotation? Will he bring Cam back? Tibbs has said he may consider RJ at the 4. I think I just saw something that said he may consider playing Hartenstein at the 4. You cannot play an 8-man rotation for 6 weeks. So do you think, I believe that at some point we will, and I said this in the last pregame, you will see Cam Reddish on the court again in a Knicks uniform. Do you think it'll be tonight, or do you think it'll be next week?
I think absolutely it's tonight. He's a logical substitution. We're losing Obi Toppin, who plays power forward primarily. You slide RJ Barrett down, and then who's going to play the 3? You're not going to put Fournier in the game because he compromises your defense, and Derrick Rose doesn't really have a rotation spot for the same reason. Cam Reddish, when he's motivated, which has been most of the season, let's give him credit, is a good defender. He might be our best wing defender when he's ready to play. And even over Quentin Grimes, who I think is more suited to defend the point of attack instead of the wing because of, he doesn't really have the same, height and length that a Cam Reddish has at 6'8". And I think, so, I mean, this is kind of my agenda showing here, but you look at the team, in my opinion, the most valuable position and the most valuable archetype in all of basketball is the two-way wing player. Boston has they have a decent point guard. Marcus Smart is not on defense, he's everything, but offensively, he's nothing to write home about. And they've been, swapping out their centers. They don't have Robert Williams. What makes the Boston Celtics the best team in basketball is Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, and to a lesser extent, but not much lesser, Grant Williams. If this, to me, is an opportunity for the Knicks not to, and I want to be very clear, I do not believe that Quentin Grimes, Cam Reddish, and RJ Barrett are equivalent to Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, and Grant Williams. His name is Grant, right? Yeah, who cares? But when you have 3 wings that are interchangeable in that way, you can go very, very far in this league. And that's why I personally believe that New Orleans is a better team than Memphis, even though everybody loves Memphis because of Ja Morant. I don't put a lot of value in having the point guard who can break people down off the dribble because we don't see those guys win championships. Let's be honest. They don't. It's the wings. That's why a team like Los Angeles that's why they sold out for Kawhi and Paul George, because having those 2 wings gives you an advantage over every team in the NBA. And I think with Obi Toppin out, the Knicks have an opportunity to play with that starting tonight against a lesser team in Charlotte. You already have your defense figured out with Deuce McBride, Quentin Grimes, and Mitchell Robinson. Emmanuel Quickly as well, and Mitchell Robinson. They're the linchpin of your defense. That's why they need to be out there. But if you could figure it out with the wings, and I just don't see a point in giving Isaiah Hartenstein more minutes or giving Jericho Sims more minutes. It doesn't make any sense to me. And you're not gonna. Well, I won't say you're not going to, but we don't need to play Julius Randle 40 minutes a night. That's ridiculous. I think we should experiment with RJ Barrett at the 4. Cam Reddish at the 3 and Quentin Grimes at the 2, and I think it should start tonight. And for me personally, it's just a logical decision. Like putting Derrick Rose back in it and putting Evan Fournier back in when they're really just expiring contracts at this point, it would be disappointing for a coach who's coaching for his job. And that's just kind of where I'd leave it. I would love to see it happen tonight.
I'm with you. It's so Knicks that the pivot to the youth movement lasted an entire game. like if we see Evan Fournier tonight, I will be very. And listen, I'm the last person on Evan Fournier Island that thinks that we could have used him in spot minutes here and there. I don't want to see Evan Fournier. I don't want to see Derrick Rose. I would like it. Just makes sense for Cam to play, but knowing this head coach, the easy option that's right in front of you, he just doesn't take. It's like
replace the 6'9" guy with the 6'8" guy. It's very simple.
It's very simple. But does this team do anything simple?
No. Not as long as I've been alive.
Like I don't think. Like honestly, my prediction is that we do not see Cam Reddish tonight, and I would love to be wrong, and I hope to be wrong, and I want to be wrong. But as I've said about this head coach, the conundrum of Tom Thibodeau is that he's actually way more innovative than he lets on, but he just likes what he likes. And I say it to everybody, he ran an entire offense through Joakim Noah, and to the point that he actually got like an MVP vote the year after Derrick Rose tore his ACL.
I think he was fourth that year. I think he was fourth that year, Joakim Noah.
Yeah, I believe so. And then I think he received – I can look it up, but he can do it when he wants to, but it has to be – he has to exhaust all of his options before he considers that. Like, he has to be, like, backed into a wall, like what happened in Philly, for him to experiment with those things. Now, the funny thing, you say he's coaching for his job. I feel like – I see tonight – I don't feel like he's coaching for his job because I feel like they can wet the bed on the road. It's the home games where they wet the bed, where I think the pressure gets turned up. And I think beating Cleveland and beating Atlanta, thoroughly beating Atlanta, has taken the pressure off of him. Now they're a quick 5-game losing streak or 3-game losing streak away from it being from the Heat being turned up again. But I think at this point we have seen. And I'll give him credit, he has made more adjustments this season, especially at the 25-game mark, than I expected. So, Tom, kudos to you. All right, so let's move on to betting and sweating. So, I think last time we took 3 out of 4, as I pulled up here. I believe so. I know I had Knicks to win the first quarter. I believe maybe I should have had this up already. We'll find it. Where is it? Whatever. I'll find it.
I remember it pretty. I think it was XJ had Knicks money line. I had Trae Young under 27.5 points. Yes. You had the Knicks to win the first quarter, and Andrew had Quentin Grimes 2 steals.
Yes,
and that's where we lost.
That's where we lost, and we talked him out of Julius hitting 2 threes, and he hits 5. Of course. Sorry, Andrew. All right. So let me pull up the good old. So while I pull up the betting and sweating. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on a second. While we pull up the betting and sweating, you can clearly tell this is my first time doing this. Let's see now. Well, whatever. While I pull that up. Okay. Here we go. Download the WynnBet app or visit www.wynnbet.com to start winning. Sign up today to receive a special offer. Bet $100, win $100. Download, bet, win. All right. So let's pull up the good old let's see now here. What we got here. Let's see. Where is this? So I will pull up the betting and sweating screen. Here we go. Come on. Why is this not working? You are seeing this is live TV. There's nothing like it. There we go. All right, let's zoom in a little bit here. All right. To the Knicks. So, Mensa, what do you have for betting and sweating today?
I'm going with all reliable Knicks first half spread at 1.5 points.
Knicks first half spread at 1.5. All right.
Minus 1.5. I think we
minus
have that.
1.5.
Oh, they just jumped to me. It's at minus.
Jumped.
Yeah, Knicks -2. But I still like that. I think the Knicks are going to win pretty convincingly tonight.
Okay. So I So the funny thing is, the rule is that you should not take the same prop. That's a GMAC rule, that you should not take the same prop 2 days in a row. But guess what? GMAC ain't here. And when the cat's away, the mice will play. So I am going to, again, I'm going to stick to this until it doesn't hit. And that is Knicks first quarter. Because, again, the one quarter the Knicks actually win is the first quarter. And the Charlotte Hornets are actually the worst fourth quarter team in the league. First quarter team in the league.
Yeah,
I believe they're like a
get out of
minus
bed really late.
Yeah, I believe they're like a minus 13.9 or something like that. So I'm gonna go with Knicks to win the first quarter. Now, GMAC, even though he's not here, he shared his pick. He is going with interesting. Emmanuel Quickly, points, rebound, 20 plus points, rebounds, and assists at plus money at even odds. Excuse me. So let's find Emmanuel Quickly, points, rebounds, assists, 20. It is still even money. And XJ gave us
Quickly points.
Emmanuel Quickly total points over 11 and a half. So let's find Mr. Quickly. 11 and a half. Let's find Mr. Quickly. Where is Mr. Oh, here he is. 11 and a half. So these are your picks for betting and sweating. Let's see if I can make this a little bit bigger. Okay. Just do this. Yeah. There we go. So here are your picks for betting and sweating. We have Knicks first half. Knicks win the first half by 2. Knicks win the first quarter by 1 at minus 115. First half spread is minus 120. Even money for Emmanuel Quickly, points, rebounds, and assists, 20 plus, and over 11.5 points at minus 125. If you were to put in $100 wager, that comes out to plus 1134. So now we didn't have a clean sweep last game. We might have this game. We might do it this game. So don't be afraid to throw $5 on this. And if you're gonna throw $5 on this, you should do it at WynnBet, and you should do that by downloading the WynnBet app right now, or go do like we're doing, www.wynnbet.com to start winning. Sign up today to receive a special offer. Bet $100, win $100, risk free, free money, free 99. Why not? Download, bet, win. All right. So we have about a few minutes left before tip-off. Any final thoughts you'd like to share about this game or anything that's going on in the world of the New York Knicks?
The one thing that I do want to it's kind of been popular to do this, to plant your flag on Quentin Grimes Island, but I don't know, man. When I see this kid, the pedigree, that I'm really big on pedigree, like guys who've had talent for a long time. The story, going to Kansas, which I don't know why any recruit goes to Kansas. They do not turn out your potential. Like, everybody who's gone to Kansas has either flopped or been Joel Embiid. It's one or the other. But with Quentin Grimes specifically, I keep going back to shooting guards who take 3 years. Look it up yourself. Shooting guards who take 3 years, and then he led his team to the Final Four. There's one guy who I remember who did that, and he has his jersey retired by the Miami Heat. Is Quentin Grimes Dwayne Wade? No, I would never say that. But Quentin Grimes' potential, just go back and look at the way he played for Houston, the way he would take over the game, the way he would go with step backs. Like, he has real juice, and I think we're starting to see it more and more this season. So the ceiling of Quentin Grimes as a 3-and-D player, let's not put limits on this kid. I think the Knicks have an issue where we won't allow Emmanuel Quickly to prove to us that he's not Tyrese Maxey or he's not Anthony Simons, even though he was drafted in the same vein. We won't let. So we just have players that, okay, let's say I think that Deuce McBride is DeAnthony Melton. We won't let him prove that unless, somebody gets hurt or long story short, we need to let Quentin Grimes show us who he is. For the first time as an organization, since I've been a Knicks fan, as an organization, we need to let Quentin Grimes be Quentin Grimes. And I think that there are 2 players on the New York Knicks roster who they have, like the Knicks have not hedged to bet against. One guy is Jalen Brunson, and the other is Quentin Grimes. There are no bets hedged against Quentin Grimes. In fact, we've cleared the road for him. So once that jumper becomes what we know it is, especially with the passing juice and the defense, I think he deserves an opportunity this season to show us what he can do creating for himself off the dribble. And if there is something there, we might see why he was Mr. Untouchable. And that's all I want to say.
Now, well said. Now, I do know that out there in the world of Knicks Twitter, there seems to be a narrative that over at Knicks Film School, we only like one wing, but we don't like the other, which is asinine, as 10, as 11, as 12. I will say this. One, the fact that we have to pit Quentin Grimes and Cam Reddish against each other stinks. Like, why? Like, I mean, I want them both to be great. As I said on the pregame last time, he should, like, Cam Reddish is a rotation player. And I know, like, the whole untouchable thing, and we've debunked that. It wasn't that he was untouchable. It was they put RJ in more trade scenarios than they did Grimes, and they didn't want to take they didn't want to trade both RJ and Quentin, which makes sense to your point. Wings are a commodity. We're not going to trade two of them, especially you don't want to trade two of them. To your point, he has pedigree. Like I said, he was the number one combo guard in the country in high school. Went to Kansas, didn't work out. Remade himself at Houston. Figured out what he was good at and what he wasn't good at, and he worked on it. Listen, it's no secret. Tibbs has his guys, just like any other coach. So while it's garbage to me that Obi can't get a consistent 20 minutes a game, and it's garbage that IQ had to watch Point Burks stink up the joint last year, and it's garbage that RJ can do whatever he wants and doesn't get sat or reprimanded. If anyone on this team is going to get his shot, it's Quentin Grimes. And we all should be rooting for him as we root for anyone else. Because at the end of the day, we're Knicks fans, and we found this kid. Like, we found this kid at the 25th pick of the draft. And if he reaches his ceiling, that is a freaking home run at the 25th pick. So big up to Quentin Grimes, big up to Emmanuel Quickley, big up to RJ Barrett, Julius Randle, Mitchell Robinson, Isaiah Hartenstein, Cam Reddish, Jalen Brunson. I root for everybody. I root for them all. Jericho Sims. I root for them all. This season we're not winning. This season we're in the middle. I don't believe we're stuck in the middle, but we're clearly in the middle. We're not going to tank. There's no road to tank. There's no road to get into getting a top 3 pick. So let's just try and enjoy the season for what it is, and hopefully that season continues with a win against the Charlotte Hornets tonight. So thank you everyone for joining. Again, sorry for starting a little late, but life happens. For Menta, I am Sean for W. Thanks for watching. Knicks Nation, let's ride.